Ali Stroker joined us as Quinley on our episode where we explored the importance of creating inclusive play spaces and making sure that play is accessible to everyone. Ali makes a fantastic Qook-a-lacka, but we're thrilled to have her here with us now as her amazing self to share her incredible journey as both an actor and advocate. A trailblazer in the industry, Ali made history as the first actor who uses a wheelchair to appear on Broadway in Spring Awakening, and later won a Tony Award for her role in Oklahoma, which I saw and loved. She has appeared in hit TV shows like Glee, Ozark, and Only Murders in the Building. She co-wrote a middle grade novel called The Chance to Fly and wrote a picture book called Ali and the Sea Stars, which was inspired by her first musical theater experience and now has become a favorite book in my classroom. Ali's list of accomplishments goes on, and we're so grateful to have her here with us. Ali, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was so fun. You know, I'd love to kick things off by asking about the episode with Scarlett and Zach. Were there any specific moments or insights they shared that really resonated with you?
I loved hearing from them because I was a kid with a disability, and I remember feeling like I was always sort of in my head about how to make things work. And I was so excited to hear them talk about their own experiences of adaptive sports, which I had some experience with, but it felt like both of them were so grounded in themselves. And I think specifically when I hear Scarlett talking about horseback riding, it felt like she was explaining something that was so normal. And that to me feels like progress. That, adapting something doesn't have to be this special, unique, different way of doing something, that it can be totally normal. And I just felt so relieved in my heart that kids now feel like this, that they are so confident about having a disability.
Yeah, I agree. That really came through their confidence. And I also kept thinking, like, they must have some pretty incredible parents too.
Yes, I immediately thought that. I was like, yes, go parents.
Yeah, right? Good job, parents.
Kids that age, when they are speaking, like, that's all a reflection of their parents and how they have been given the opportunity to speak up and to advocate or articulate themselves. And that's practice.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about turning your limitations into your opportunities, and that's exactly what I think we both heard from Scarlett and Zach. And could you share a little more about what that philosophy means to you and how you apply it in your own life?
Absolutely. So this motto that I live by of turning limitations into opportunities has come from my life and wanting to do things that have never been done before. And I think that, it can apply to somebody with a disability or not, because as human beings, we have limitations. It's a part of existing in the world. But instead of feeling like those limitations are going to be the things that hold you back, I have found that when you get creative through your limitations, it becomes opportunities. And it becomes this unique, special, and maybe once in a lifetime sort of opportunity that you never would have had before. So I have found that to be true. And so many doors have opened because of my limitations. Because of being in a wheelchair, I have a whole community that I wouldn't normally have. And I get to be creative every day in my life, because the truth is that there are boundaries in the world. Not every single thing is accessible. I'm now a mom, and parenting with a disability it's like every day I have to be creative. And I think probably a lot of parents feel this way even without a disability, because there is no book of rules, right? And so living with this motto, and the reason that I came up with it is because I also need reminding of it. I'm not perfect. And so sometimes I can feel frustrated and I can feel stuck. But, I try to talk the talk and walk the walk. No pun intended. But that that I am going to live by these mottos that I speak to the world.
Yeah, that's very inspirational. I mean, I'm feeling like, what am I going to do after we get off this call? In our conversation with Zach and Scarlett, we discussed the importance of inclusion, and I know you've been honored by Inclusion Matters, by Shane's Inspiration, and that's the organization that introduced us to both of them. How do you think organizations like Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration can inspire real, lasting changes in how communities think about access and inclusion?
These organizations are essential to making change because it's one thing to talk about inclusion, but then you have to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to raise the money because it costs money. And then you have to get permits. You need to build these playgrounds. You need to get people out to these playgrounds. You need to get the word out that these exist. And I can't tell you how important inclusive playgrounds are. And I never had one inclusive playground growing up. And to this day, I still go to the playground and I have this like funny feeling in my stomach. Because it was a place of confusion and shame and frustration for me as a child. When, you know, people think, oh, a playground, it's where where kids can be free and run around and play. And it was the opposite for me. And so every kid deserves to feel that freedom and that ability to play in an outdoor space with their friends. And so now as a parent, I think inclusive playgrounds are really important. I use a wheelchair, and when I get to a playground with wood chips, there is a moment for me where I'm like, there's a certain amount of control that I have to let go of, that if my kid falls, I'm not going to be able to run over and get to him. Like, it's going to take a minute, or I'm going to have to rely on other parents, or, you know, and I'm so fortunate. My son is just amazing and has adapted so beautifully to my limitations and has made him, I think, an even cooler kid because of it. But, you know, like, I can't help him do certain things. So his independence is like far ahead because, you know, I'm not able to, you know, like, help him up the stairs. That's what he's doing on his own. And he climbs and he gets on, you know, on pieces of equipment on his own because he knows mommy can't do it. And it's because we don't have an inclusive playground in town. And I just wish that I could have those moments with him. And it's something that, you know, these organizations are doing and making happen in the world. And that is what change is. Change can be taught. Change is not talk. Change is action.
Action. Do you mind me asking how old your son is?
Yes. My son, Jesse's 2.
Oh my gosh.
So right your age range.
I know. Just you wait. Just you wait. You know, I always think I've been in education for over 2 decades, but I've been working with this age for 17 years. And
cool.
I always think that what you're about to experience is a 3-year-old who's turning 4, which is just, you know, on the horizon, is for the first time, I think they're really able to understand more fully that they're a part of something greater than themselves and their point of view about the world. And it just gets so specific, and I love it. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I can't tell you how amazing it's been to watch Jesse understand accessibility because he does already. So he's super verbal, which is also, you know, part of it. But, you know, we'll get up to stairs. We'll be at someone's house and there'll be stairs and he'll say, mommy needs a ramp. And he's really, when my husband or my sister is helping me downstairs, he stands there and watches. He like doesn't run away. Like he's a part of my accessibility. And then when there are ramps, you know, we say like, let's go up the ramp. Do you mind helping mommy? Like give mommy a push up the ramp. Yeah. Help mommy. And it's so cool, Todd, because it's not something that's like different in his world. Like this is just a part of his world.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can't wait like you're saying, like 3 and 4, like how he will like understand what, accessibility is and how he deals with the world around him.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's been so special. I love being a mom.
I can tell. Well, and I think it's so important what you said. These organizations need support, and we'll definitely put a way for people on our website to donate specifically to Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration. I was wondering, do you remember a moment as a child when you felt included and the impact that had on you?
Yes. I remember as a kid in gym class, it was a day, it must have been first grade, where everybody was learning to skip. And in gym, I had like an aide. I didn't have an aide in any of my other classes, but I did in gym. And it was just another moment where I got nervous because I was like, I always felt kind of awkward when I couldn't participate as a kid. But these gym teachers had done some thinking before this class, and they were like, everyone's going to learn how to skip. And Allie, this is how you skip. And they were like, you're going to push your chair and clap your hands. Push your chair, clap your hands. And it was this new skill. And, all the kids were doing it like across the gym. So I was able to move across the gym with the rest of the kids, but doing my version of skipping. And they were doing their version of skipping. And it was just this little moment. I mean, I had to have been probably 6 years old. And, 31 years later, I still remember it because it felt like I was included and someone had taken a little bit of time to get creative to make me feel like I was learning a new skill too, and that I could be a part of the group in moving. I wasn't going to move the same way, but I was still moving with them. And that meant everything to me, everything.
I mean, it's making me get a little teary. We've all have moments of feeling like we don't belong or feeling left out. And what I love about that story is that it doesn't take much for somebody to think about other people and create something that could really be meaningful for them. And
it made such an impact. And I just like anyone who's listening to this, like if there is a kid, even if they don't have a disability, but they're having trouble with a skill, just give it like pause and give it just a moment to think about, is there another way to do this so that this particular kid can feel confident in their ability to learn something new? Because the truth is that not all of us are going to learn or are going to be able to do every single thing in the world, right? And not all of us are going to get to that skill the same way. So especially for kids, it really, really matters to feel included. It was all I wanted when I was growing up. I just wanted to be like everyone else, and I wanted to be included. And it has driven so much of my life now because I want everyone to feel a part of the group or a part of the party or a part of a movement. Like that is one of my driving forces because of my own experience of not always being included.
Yeah. I love your children's book about a girl in a wheelchair with a big dream, being in a musical. My kids love it. What inspired you to create Allie and the Sea Stars?
So Allie and the Sea Stars is based on my experience as a little kid being introduced to musical theater on the Jersey Shore. So when I was 6 years old, my family bought a home on Long Beach Island, and our next door neighbors had 3 children, and their oldest daughter had just come home from Stage Door Manor, which is a theater camp in the Berkshires. And she decided that she wanted to direct a production of Annie in our backyard. And this summer changed my entire life, because I was introduced to theater and I realized I could sing, and it basically set my entire life journey of becoming a musical theater and actress and everything that I do now. And it was such a beautiful, simple kind of concept that you can create theater or art or anything in your backyard. And it was all kids, right? Like there wasn't an adult telling us what to do or how to do it. It was, my next door neighbor who was running rehearsals and teaching us songs and choreography. And it was all very serious.
Yeah.
And it changed my life, Todd. Like, it made me feel like, again, I was part of something and I had a purpose. And being a little kid with a disability, so much of my identity and my story and how people saw me was my disability.
Mm-hmm.
And that just didn't feel good because people felt sorry for me. And that was the one thing that really, really bugged me, I remember as a kid. And so getting to be on stage and everyone was staring at me, and they weren't staring at me because of my wheelchair. They were staring at me because I was the star and I was commanding the stage and their attention. I was just like, I am empowered and I have something that I can get off my chest and that I can say. And it gave me my voice and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And so when I was approached by HarperCollins to write a children's book, I knew exactly what I wanted the story to be around. And there's this author's note at the back of the book encouraging kids to just make theater and not wait for permission and not wait for your school to hold auditions, but to do a show over the weekend and put it up Sunday night and invite your neighbors. And creativity is not something that you have to wait for someone to give to you. You know, it's like it's already inside of you. We all have this creativity. And I also feel like theater has brought me so much community. And that is, I think, so important for kids with disabilities.
I love everything that you're saying.
Thanks.
And it's a great segue into the next question I had for you was, we've talked a little bit about it. You've broken barriers and made history on Broadway and beyond. And it's hard to believe that it's 9 years ago, you became the first actor in a wheelchair to perform on Broadway. Can you share what that milestone meant to you and how you think your achievement has influenced not only other actors, but audience members?
Absolutely. I remember when I found out that I was going to be the first person in a wheelchair to ever be on Broadway. And I was like, we need to check that. Like that can't
How?
be true.
Yeah, right.
It's 2015. Like what?
Yeah.
And it was true. And it just woke something up inside of me that was like, this can't be a one-time thing. This needs to start a movement on Broadway. There needs to be more people with disabilities and in wheelchairs on stage, on Broadway, on the highest level of theater. I believe in all kinds of theater, right? Community theater, outreach theater, children's theater, like all of it is essential. But Broadway is commercial theater. And I think that people who are putting money towards it and theater patrons who are buying tickets need to see people with disabilities. It needs to be a part of our commercial entertainment. And I say this because 1 in 4 Americans identify as disabled. We must be represented in storytelling. And I think that disability actually heightens and makes storytelling better because there's a vulnerability and there is a rawness that when you see somebody with a disability on stage, it touches you in a certain way based on your own life, right? But it makes people feel. And that might be uncomfortable. That might be inspired. That might be excited. That might be upset or compassion or whatever it is. But I can say, with living with a disability my entire life, that it evokes something in people and it makes people feel. And so I have seen, since I was on Broadway in 2015, so many more people with disabilities and in chairs on Broadway. And that is just like the best, most exciting feeling because that was and is my mission. It's like to create, it's not just about me.
Yeah.
It's not just about my work. It's about creating that ripple effect.
We have just a couple more questions. And both just such beautiful productions too. Like those were so good.
Thank you.
On Little Kids, Big Hearts, we have focused on the last, we're in our 4th season now, on creating a safe and inclusive place where children can connect and meet new children and share their experiences. How do you think giving kids a platform to share their stories can help foster empathy and understanding?
I think that the only way to foster empathy and understanding is to connect people. And I don't care what age. We must make connection. And we live in a new world where we have so many different opportunities to do it. And we don't have to be in the same state or the same town to know each other and to connect. And so every single child's world is bigger now. But we do have a responsibility to connect them with the right people. And I just wished as a kid that I had more friends with disabilities, because there's just, even if you don't talk about your disability, and in many ways, I don't think that a lot of kids with disabilities want to talk to each other about their disabilities. They just want to connect and know that they're not alone in their challenge. Right? Because being a kid with a disability is a big responsibility. You have to keep your chin up in moments and days when it is really hard. And to know there's another kid doing it just gives you a little more courage to show up.
What advice do you have for children with disabilities who are dreaming of careers in the arts and other fields where representation is still growing?
Do it all the time. Like do theater all the time. Getting involved in as many productions and voice lessons and you name it. Just get involved with theater and get experience and find good people and don't wait for people to give you permission.
That's great. I mean, that is, I wish I heard that as a little kid and growing up in Texas. I wish I had somebody saying that to me. I think that's such a great message to give to our listeners who are listening. Before we go, Allie, what's next for you? Are there exciting projects or goals you're working towards?
Yeah, I mean, lots of different kind of cool projects. I mean, next week I'm going to be singing in Toronto with the Toronto Symphony, and I'm working on developing a children's show, there's a lot of really cool new things and pots on the stove and more content and creative things for all kids, but specifically kids with disabilities. So keep an eye out for this show that we're working on.
We definitely will. Allie, this has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your incredible energy with us today. You've shown us how inclusion isn't just important, but it's crucial. It's essential for a better, more connected world. To all of our listeners, we hope this conversation inspires you to think about how you can help create spaces where everyone feels welcome, whether that's on the playground, in the classroom, or anywhere else in your community. Every person deserves to feel like they belong, and you have the power to make a difference. So keep playing, keep dreaming, and join us next time on Little Kids, Big Hearts. Thank you, Allie.
Thank you so much, Dad.